Live stream going. But good afternoon, everybody. My name's Todd Bauer. I'm the superintendent in the North Penn School District. And this year we started a new format for community conversations where we bring people together and we talk about a certain topic. The hope is that we get some audience participation, asking questions or offering comment in the chat. But if not, that's okay. I will facilitate a conversation with our special guests. So we've had a variety of community conversations. We've actually had a conversation about our communication in the school district and ways in which we can get better. We've had conversations with law enforcement. I've had some conversations. One of the episodes of the podcast, which is very similar, was with immigration attorneys. We've had a variety of conversations, but today's is very, very, very special. And I have to assume going to be pretty fun because Ms. Liberoski, our Director of School and Community Engagement, suggested, Todd, why don't you bring a bunch of kids on and try to have a conversation with them? So I do a monthly, biweekly meeting in our buildings with groups of kids. Each school that I've been attending, we're doing 3 times this year to really get feedback from kids about what's going well, what's not, what are things you love about North Penn or your school, what are some things you wish we would change. And we brought 3 of those special guests today to have that conversation live, in hopes that you, our audience, will engage with them and myself in a conversation. So with that, Mr. Gilmer, if you could pull in our 3 VIPs. First on my screen, I see Michael Harris from Pembroke Middle School. I feel like I'm doing athletic introductions. From Pembroke Middle School, we have Michael Harris. From North Penn High School, we have Jacob Serrano. And from Penndale Middle School, we have Quinny Duke. Michael, Jacob, Quinny, thanks so much for being here. To start things off, just going to ask you to introduce yourself a little bit. So something like, I'm an 8th grader at blank school and I'm involved in these 3 activities. So let's, in the order that I see them on my screen, Michael, let's start with you. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Who's Michael Harris?
So my name's Michael Harris. I'm in 8th grade at Pembroke Middle School, and I'm involved in the volunteer corps and the Pembroke band.
Awesome. What instrument do you play, Michael?
I played the tuba.
Awesome. Great. All right. Next on our list here is Mr. Jacob Serrano. Jacob, introduce yourself, please.
I am Jacob Serrano. I am a junior in the high school and just looking forward to college.
Oh, that a guy. What are you involved in at the high school?
Not much, just a couple clubs, like Italian club, things like that.
Great. All right. Thank you, Jacob. And lastly, Quinny Duke. Tell us about yourself, Quinny.
Hi, I'm Quinny Duke, and I'm a 9th grader at Penndale Middle School, and I'm involved in dance and National Junior Honor Society.
That's awesome. Okay. Well, thank all 3 of you for giving us a little bit of time here on a Thursday afternoon. I hear, by the way, I was going to say a nice Thursday. It's still a little chilly. Did you guys hear that it's supposed to be 82 degrees on Saturday? It's going to feel like summertime. It's going to be crazy. All right. So with that, let's just start with some positives. I always like to start these conversations with just like good things. And if anybody wants to ask a question of our students, please feel free in the chat. But let's start with, we'll go to Jacob. Jacob, I'm going to, because you're the high school, you're the wise individual here because you're so much older and wiser. Jacob, just tell me something you've loved about North Penn, whether it's North Penn High School or your experience here in the school district.
I think I like mostly the diversity of the school, like classes, especially the people, there's a lot of people and teachers. So also a lot of helpful resources that you could use for education.
Yeah, thank you for that. I think as an outsider, so I did not grow up in the North Penn School District, but I did go to a neighboring school district, and I always thought North Penn was so big. And one of the things I learned, Jacob, when I started working here almost 11 years ago at this point, was how beautiful the diversity is.
Yeah.
Right. And the fact that we have so many kids and so many staff and so many different cultures and ethnicities and all the great opportunities that come with a school district this large. So great answer. All right, Michael, you're next on my list here. What is something you love about whether it's Pembroke or North Penn in general?
Well, for Pembroke, I really like the friendliness of the staff. I feel like they're like a very friendly kind of administration. Across North Penn, though, I would say what Jacob said. I really like the diversity. You get to see a lot of different people and a lot of different experiences.
So can you unpack a little bit, Michael, the friendliness part of the staff? If you want to provide an example or give a shout out, feel free. You don't need to. But what do you think sets the folks at Pembroke apart?
Well, I think like the staff there, like every morning they like welcome you and greet you. And like periodically throughout the day they'll be like, "Hey, how are you doing? Are you okay?" Or like I see like some kids they'll like look pretty sad that they're having a rough day. And like staff will come up to them and ask how they're doing.
Oh, that's awesome. Warms my heart. And of course, as a superintendent, that makes me very proud of our staff. But I can tell you, as a dad, if my son or daughter came home and said to me, "Hey, Dad, this is the way people are treating me," which they do. My kids go to great schools. That would make me just feel really good. More than anything, we want to know our kids are taken care of and people love them. So that's great. All right, Quinny, I hope Jacob and Michael didn't take all your answers. But what is something that you would say that makes Penndale great, or your experience in North Penn in general great?
I'd say probably like just the community in general, and kind of building off of what they said, that there's so many like diverse groups of people that like everybody has someone that they'll be able to connect with in some certain way.
Okay, great. Well, the three of you just provided excellent answers. So we're gonna kind of rotate back. We're gonna stay on the positive for now. We will go to suggestions or criticisms, which we can take that. That's how we get better. We're gonna go reverse order this time. So we're gonna go Quinny, Michael, then Jacob, so that Jacob doesn't always have the easiest job to provide the first answer. So I'm gonna ask about learning experiences. So the first question regarding learning is just, what is something that is really cool? Give an example of a great activity, field trip, opportunity, topic, whatever it is, something you loved to learn about, or a learning experience that was just really great. Does not have to be this year. Quinny seems to have an answer. I see some nods. Quinny, take it away. What is something that was just awesome?
So in my FCS class this year, we went and visited a preschool, and we got to teach them a lesson that we made up. And I think that it was really cool because we got to kind of see the outside world and how different jobs could be like, and different fields and activities.
Oh, that is awesome. So tell me, what lesson did you teach?
I taught one about sea turtles.
Oh, very cool. And what grade was it?
It was preschoolers, so they were, I think, 4 and 5-ish.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, great. Thank you for that answer. Michael, do you have something queued up? You ready to go?
Yeah, so something that I think is interesting or like cool at my school is we have this thing, and I'm not sure if the other schools do it, but it's like a club day. And so every 2 weeks on Friday, we get to like choose a club that we want to be in for about like 45 minutes at the end of the day.
Oh, very cool. So which clubs have you participated in?
I've participated in the like try out a string instrument in club and the volunteer corps club.
Oh, I love it. I was actually at Penfield Middle School today, and I met with kids just like this to have these conversations. And one student brought this very thing up, that every couple of weeks, on a Friday afternoon, we get to experience new clubs. So I love it, and I love that our middle schools are doing that now. That's a new thing this year, I believe. There were always clubs to some degree, but they were primarily after school, not during school clubs. So thank you for that, Michael. All right, Jacob, lots of opportunities there at North Penn High School. So give us an example of something really cool that is happening.
I think one that comes to mind is the field trip that the Italian club went on.
Okay.
It was to Philly, and we pretty much just got to walk around and like just kind of have fun with our friends. Buy some cool like souvenirs, if you want to say, and eat some food.
All right.
And there was an opportunity to go ice skating that I actually didn't take, which I should have took an opportunity to do so. But it was cool seeing people have fun together. So yeah, I think it was a good opportunity to bond with other classmates, students, and yeah, it was really fun.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. So I'm going to put you on the spot, since you're a junior, right, Jacob? You said?
Yeah.
All right. So, and how long have you been in North Penn? Since
My
which
entire
grade?
life.
Since kindergarten.
Yep.
Okay. All right. What is one field trip from elementary school that you remember?
This was in first grade.
Oh, okay. Go way back.
Yeah, we're going way back. I went to the zoo, and There's not much I can remember about it, but it was really fun. That's pretty much all I can say about it.
Which
It was
elementary
a long time
which
ago.
elementary school were you?
I went to Oak Park.
Oak Park. Okay. I'll tell you a funny story. One year, I think I was assistant superintendent, and one of our elementary schools, I won't call out the school, they went to the Renaissance Fair. Okay. How many of you went to the Renaissance Fair in elementary school? Did any of you? Michael did. Okay. Well, at this particular elementary school, this is years ago, a bunch of the kids, unbeknownst to the chaperones, bought like salamanders, like live salamanders. So they came home with live pets from a field trip. And the parents were so upset with us that kids came home with a pet. And the one dad wrote me an email, now I have a vet bill. And so needless to say, no more salamanders from the Renaissance Fair. All right. Let's shift gears a little bit. So you provided some great examples of things that you've experienced in North Penn. I always like to talk to kids about safety. Safety is really important. And unfortunately, in a school district with 13,000 kids, unfortunately, there are incidents that happen that, of course, we wish wouldn't have happened. And some being significant and others not as significant. But I'm always interested in the general vibe with kids. Just like, how do you feel at school? Do you feel safe? Do you feel that there's someone you could talk to? Do you feel you have a relationship with an adult in the building who would protect you if you needed it? So really, I just want to start the conversation there and offer it up. I'm not going to call anybody out initially, but does anybody have initial thoughts on like, yeah, I this is how I feel when it comes to school safety? Michael, I see some nods. Go ahead, take it away.
So I do feel very safe at my school. Today actually, my teacher, Miss Comiskey, there was a student who was like kind of like being rough with another, like not like hurting them, but like it had the potential to like end up with that student being hurt, and she handled the situation very effectively.
I appreciate that shout out for Ms. Comiskey. She usually gets a shout out when I come over there to Pembroke. So that is English class, right, Michael?
Mm-hmm.
Great. Okay. So in general, you feel safe at school. Do you have a relationship with the security at your school? And do you feel like they're present in the hallways and all those things?
Yeah, I have a relationship with the security guards at my school. They, again, with the friendliness thing, they greet us every day.
That's great.
And I see them always in the halls.
Great. Okay. Quinny or Jacob, any comments regarding school safety?
I can go. Kind of talking about the similar topic of Michael. There have been like several altercations at at the high school,
Mhm.
and I've witnessed only several, quite not many, and every time they do de-escalate quite fast, as security is pretty. They active. I'm trying to figure out what to say. They understand what to do and how to de-escalate a situation way faster than I could if I had been a security guard. And seeing that and like realizing that they're there only to like really like I guess you could say protect us or help us in any in any way really, it's pretty comforting to realize that. And yeah.
I love that. And, I think Mr. Rohn, our coordinator of emergency management, he's kind of the supervisor of the security team, would say the same, that I really want to see that our security team is building relationships with kids, getting to know them. They're a friendly face. Because when you build that relationship, you can start to tell when something is off. And it's good to hear that you feel that way about the team and the way in which they de-escalate. I also recognize that school safety isn't just the responsibility of security. It's the responsibility of everybody, right? And you're told even as young as kindergarten, if you see something, say something and report it. And same thing with the staff. So Quinny, I know Michael and Jacob took a lot of the content there, but do you have anything to add regarding your experience at Penndale?
I think I agree with the security guard stuff. They really make an effort to talk to the kids and not just keep us safe, but just make sure everybody's getting along and no like incidents happen and people are just overall safe and like content with the school.
I love it. Thank you for that. All right, let's switch gears altogether. So we're gonna move away from Mrs. Comiskey is what? Mr. Gilmer, you got to bring that one up there. Bring it up. Oh, Mrs. Comiskey is watching us live and just said, thanks, Michael. So, Carrie, thank you for the engagement there. Mrs. Comiskey is a teacher at Pembroke. She teaches English. Mr. Comiskey is a teacher at North Penn High School. He teaches math. Fun fact. So anybody else that is watching live, and we usually, I think I told you guys offline that we get a lot more views after the fact, a couple thousand typically. But if anybody's in there and wants to throw a line in the chat and we can give you a shout out, please let us know. Maybe some of Michael, Quinny, or Jacob's family members or friends. That would be awesome. So, all right, let's switch gears all together. So we've talked about things you love about your school. We've talked about school safety. We've talked about some great experiences you've had. Let's talk about things you wish we just did better. So anything like, hey, if I was in charge of the school district, or hey, if I was a principal, or if I was a teacher in the school district, these are things that I think it doesn't need to be, just an awful thing, but just like, hey, I really wish folks in North Penn would blank. Anybody have Quinny nodded her head. So just something you wish that we did better or something we could focus on. Go ahead, Quinny.
I would probably bring back the half-day Fridays that we had.
Okay.
Because it gave you something to look forward to, and it kind of got your weekend started just a couple hours earlier. And so it just made Fridays like a little bit more fun than they already are.
Yeah, while I would never want to go back to that time in COVID and the hybrid learning and all that stuff, I can appreciate that perspective. It does bring forth some challenges because we're really limited on the number of hours that we have. So you may not know this, but high schools have to have 990 hours of instruction, and that's secondary schools. And elementary schools have to have 900 hours. So if you chop off a half day every week, that hitting that number is really, really challenging. But I like the suggestion. I do think there's a little more flexibility with some new laws. But all right, Jacob or Michael, any suggestions for the school district at large that like, hey, we should look at this or do this differently?
One of the first thing that comes to my mind is how I know that the high school is quite large, but there also is an excessive amount of people, and I find that it can be sometimes difficult to get to classes on time due to like how many kids are in the hallway trying to do the same. That's pretty much like, it's not such an issue as quite other things, but I think that's one of the main things that stand out to me.
I like that. So one of the things we're going to try to do with the renovation is increase circulation patterns, give more avenues to get from point A to point B. So unless you want to go outside right now, if you're in K-Pod, to get to A-Pod, you essentially have to traverse the entire building.
That's
right.
Yeah. I'm like late almost every day to my chemistry class because I have an English class the period before, and that's an A-Pod. So it takes a little while to get there, but my teacher understands, so it's not that much of a issue.
Look at Jacob getting a shout out there. Oh, Mrs. Heyer. Jacob is a former Oak Park Shark. Mrs. Heyer, there's no such thing. Once an Oak Park Shark, always an Oak Park Shark. But anyway, Jacob's a former Oak Park Shark and happens to be a great human. I agree. I've met Jacob now probably close to a half a dozen times, and what an awesome kid. And one of the reasons he's here right now. Okay, Michael, if you don't have an answer, that's okay. But do you have a suggestion for North Penn?
So I think a suggestion, I was actually talking to some of my peers about this today. I think we should have, at least at Pembroke, like more like exciting and memorable assemblies, I feel.
Oh, okay. Can you think of one that was awesome that you've had over the years?
So we actually, last week on Monday, we had a man named Ben Hartronaft come in. And he basically gave an assembly about autism and like how it affects him and like what to know about autism.
All right. I love that you said that. I'm not sure he's watching, but Ben Hartrampt was homecoming king back when I was high school principal. He is well known as the mayor of North Penn and is just an absolutely incredible advocate for the school district, but more specifically for autism awareness. So Ben is one of those people that I'm telling you, when I was high school principal, he said something like, I'm going to be homecoming king. And I was like, yeah, okay, Ben, sure. He was homecoming king. Then he said he was going to be on the Ellen show, right? I mean, what high school kid says, yeah, one day, Dr. Bauer, I'm going to be on the Ellen show? He was. And he said he's going to meet Jason Kelsey and ride roller coasters with him. He did. Then he told me he was going to meet President Biden. He did. And now he's the CEO and founder of his own company. He's spoken at Fortune 500 companies like Chick-fil-A, and Ben is just the man. So Ben Hartranft, if you're watching, shout out to you and all your advocacy efforts. So proud of you for all that you do. What a great human being. Okay, I'm going to now take us to treating you as though you are very wise, esteemed individuals, and ask that if there were parents or kids in younger grades watching this, what advice would you offer? So an example could be, Quinny, what advice would you offer to a family who is nervous about their little sixth grader going to Penndale Middle School? Okay, so just asking advice that you would offer to families or kids who are about to go to the school where you are. Got everybody understand the assignment? Does anybody want to go first?
I guess.
Oh, Jacob spoke. Michael raised his hand. So let's go Jacob first, since you're at the high school. We'll start there.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to say, since I'm at the high school, I guess I should lead off. Let's say that, yeah, there was somebody 9th grade going to the high school. I tell them to just be prepared for getting lost the first maybe week or so.
Okay.
Because it is a pretty big school, and some of the rooms can seem hidden, but other than that, you'll be fine.
How long would you say it took you to get your head wrapped around the building?
2 days. But
really?
I'm pretty good at understanding where I'm supposed to go. But
okay.
Yeah.
I love that. And you know what? Some people, I've said this to people who have worked in North Penn High School for 20 years, and they're like, I never realized that. If you look at an aerial view of North Penn High School, okay, follow me here, and you look top left of the map, Mr. Gilmer, I would be so impressed if you could pull a map up real quickly. But if you look top left of a map of North Penn High School, that's A-Pod. If you're looking like sky view down at the building. Counterclockwise, going around the building, it goes A, B, C, D, and E are in the middle, and then F-Pod. K-Pod's kind of in the front, and then, oh, here we go. So zoom in a little bit, Mr. Gilmer. And since you have a mouse, A-Pod is back there in the back left. Now go to B-Pod. Right there. Now go to C-Pod. Right there. E-Pod is smack dab in the middle. D-Pod is like the biggest urban legend out there. It's just a hallway. It's not a pod. And then F-Pod is right there. Look at that. People don't realize that. It is a clockwise A, B, C, D, E, F. So anyway, fun lesson today. All right, let's go to Michael since he had his hand up. What is some advice you would offer to an incoming 7th grader at Pembroke Middle School?
So advice I would offer an incoming 7th grader is, like Jacob said, for me, it was a pretty big school, and it's definitely different from elementary. You're a lot more independent than you are in elementary school. I was thinking about this just this week. In elementary school, like you're in a line and you're like following each other and you know where to go. In middle school, you just go out into the hallway and go by yourself, which I think is a really big change because you're not exactly being directed and told where to go.
Love it. Okay. So, and I think you will find Jacob may agree that you'll find the same level of increased independence as you transition from middle to high. Like all of a sudden you get to high school and you're like, whoa, there's more independence here still. So that's great advice. I love it. All right, Quinny, last but certainly not least, what is a small piece of advice that you would offer to a incoming Penndale student or family?
I agree with Michael because I feel like it's a lot more independent, and it's a pretty big change between elementary school and middle school, but it's not necessarily a scary or bad one because you get to meet so many more people and you just get to experience like a different form of learning.
All right. So that is just a beautiful way of saying that. Thank you, Quinny. And here's some insider information. We have 18 schools, 22 buildings. I still get lost in Penndale. I don't know my way. I don't know. Like if you said to me in Walton Farm or Brattle Path or Nash, if you told me to go to a certain room, I don't know the room numbers in every building, of course. I know North Penn High School very well because I worked there. But most buildings I can get around pretty well. I find Penndale tough to get around. It's like, oh, the bridge and this hallway and that hallway, and this is third floor over here, but it's third floor down here in the other wing. And I don't know. I get confused there. All right. So we hit on a lot of things here. I'm going to ask now to close it out where it's 4:30 and my hope was to go till about 4:35. I'm going to ask, and Michael already gave one to Mrs. Kamitsky. I'm going to ask you to give a shout out to 2 teachers, one from your current school and one from your last school. Okay, so if you're talking about our 2 middle school students on here, one from your respective middle schools and then your elementary school. And for Jacob, we're going to go one from the high school and one from Jacob. You went to Penndale, I assume?
Yeah, I did.
If you were Oak Park Shark, once an Oak Park Shark, always an Oak Park Shark.
I think I have in mind who to give one.
All right. So give us a shout out for 2 teachers and just a brief explanation why. Go ahead, Jacob. Take it away.
Okay. First, I'd say Mrs. Grummeyer.
Well, that's a common one I hear. Okay.
I had her for swim last year as a gym course, and she was just definitely funny.
Okay.
Sorry, can you give me one moment? My Chromebook is about to die.
Oh, no. All right.
Sorry.
That's okay. We'll jump to Michael. Go ahead, Michael.
So a teacher I'd like to give a shout out to at Pembroke. He's not a teacher, but rather a security guard.
I love it.
Mr. Catrone. He's a very charismatic and nice guy. He's very funny too. And he just does a great job at handling the safety and stuff. For the elementary school, Miss Reeling was definitely a very nice teacher. She's very she has a lot of personality to her. She really helped me in science and stuff. And she's just overall a really nice teacher.
Which school are we talking, Michael?
Montgomery Elementary.
Montgomery Elementary. So great answers. Thank you for giving those 2 individual shout outs. And I love that you brought Mr. Catrone into it because I should not have limited it to teachers. Really, adults in all of our buildings have an impact on kids. So it could be our extended school care program. It could be a school nutrition service individual, a custodian, a special ed assistant. I don't care who you bring up, but just somebody who has had a positive impact on you. So thank you for that. All right, let's bounce back to Jacob. So we heard from him that he loved Mrs. Grunmeyer for aquatics last year, and she was just fun. I hear that name a lot. I was actually working with a group of high school kids last week, and I got to the point where I said to them that nobody's allowed to say Mrs. Grunmeyer. Who else are your favorite teachers? So, all right, Jacob, who was one of your favorites from Penndale?
Could I give one to from Oak Park?
Of course you can.
I would say Mrs. Heyer.
Oh, come on. Yeah.
She was just really sweet to me and definitely helped me with the work I needed to get help with.
That's awesome. I love it. Okay, Quinny, you're up.
In Penndale, excuse me, I would probably give one to Mrs. Hammond because she just has really been always there for me and a really good and engaging school counselor. And then from elementary school at Bridle Path, I would probably give one to Mrs. Lomez because I had her during the peak COVID when we were still wearing masks and we had hybrid. But she really helped to make it a fun and our class was a big whole family. So it's really fun.
Well, I appreciate that. Look at Chibuka over there giving some shout outs to Mrs. Grunmeyer as well. Thanks for engaging, Chibuka. Chibuka was a student back when I was the principal. All right. Well, I've taken enough of your time. I know you've been in school all day and the last thing you want to do is hang out with me for a half hour here. But I really appreciate all 3 of you. This is just a small microcosm of what it looks like when I get the opportunity to meet with awesome kids like this and talk about their school day. So thank you all for coming. Thanks for your engagement. Thanks for the people in the chat. I'm sure we'll get some more comments. But for anybody watching or anybody who watches in the future, thanks so much for tuning in. and we'll see you all next month. Thanks,
Thank you.
everyone.
Thank you, Dr. Bauer.
You're welcome.